Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God.
Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
one of the most exciting and fiercely contested motorsport categories in Australia, with drivers in every corner of our continent. They join together here on iRacing for the Formula Vee Australia E-Series, presented by Southern Cross Esports, and round 4 takes us to a circuit dearly missed to those in the real world, but dearly loved here on iRacing. It's Orin Park. We've enjoyed 3 amazing rounds of action so far. Round 4, what can it deliver on this relatively tight, twisting and figure 8 circuit that is Orin Park in the Formula V's? Thanks for joining us for our coverage here on SimSpeed. We've been delighted to be bringing you absolutely all of it in the Formula Vee Australia E-Series. David Haynes here with Scott Rankin. Scott, big deep breaths. There's some crazy racing coming up tonight, no doubt.
Yeah. To anyone who's ever heard me race or gamed on a Discord channel at any stage with me whatsoever, you can generally hear me huffing and puffing because I'm holding my breath and clenching whenever there's a lot of close action going on. League of Legends, I tend to breathe very heavily. I'll suck in deep breaths and blow them out. You can hear that very audibly through my microphone. Tonight, yeah, that's going to be happening a lot around here. In Orin Park. Formula V's around this circuit. I actually think this is probably one of the better combos that Formula V's can come to. It's a track that's very well suited to them. And to be honest, it's really a shame that I was literally too young or just starting to be aware of racing when this track had been taken from us. And Sorry, go right ahead, Dave.
Oh, go 4:3 aspect ratio tonight, and we could put it on Speed Week SBS on a Sunday afternoon in 2004-ish, I reckon, tonight's racing. Real throwback. Formula V has a really, really long history in this country and around the world, and of course, that continues with strong grids in state championships all across Australia. But this is what our Formula Vee Australia E-Series championship standings are looking like after round 3. Glenn Cito Riddle has been the man, and he's up top with 500 points. It's a tie for second between John Merritt and Alexander Newton. Two drivers have obviously been very strong. Jason Cutts there in 4th from Trevor Hearn. Lee Partridge, Reece Gardner, what a run he had at Watkins Glen last race. Stephen Bradbury his way through for a win, and he sits 7th in those points. Bit of Cameron Edwards, Carl Ridley, and Robert Crisdale.
Yes, still not 100% sure how to say Robert Crisdale. I've said it a few different ways because we also commentate him in the V8, the Kumho's V8 Veterans on a Thursday night. And over there I started off with Crisdale. I'm back to Crisdale at the moment. I think I might get back to Crisdale before the end of the season. It's one of those names. But yeah, have a look at the action up and down the field, Dave. I mean, we talked about it. These cars, they promote phenomenal side-by-side racing. Remember back to Phillip Island before Christmas as well. How good the racing action was there. You know, cars separated by absolutely nothing at the start-finish line in the first race, side-by-side. And then we actually had a couple of guys breaking away, both at Watkins Glen and Phillip Island as well, when the battling got a little bit too close. So it's about maintaining momentum. It's about keeping yourself settled in. The critical factor for me, for those pulse tuning guys that are right up at the pointy end of things, the Echuca Toyota boys, my sincerest apologies, at the pointy end of things, is that consistency's been the key. Keeping themselves out of trouble. And if anyone was watching the Bathurst 12 hour over the weekend, there was some open wheel cars there racing heavily. I think you know the move, the incident that I'm directly referring to, Dave, up Mountain Straight.
Up Mountain Straight. Yeah, just open wheel cars like this do not tangle wheels kindly at all. They don't tangle kindly with the barrier, as Kyle Ridley, I do believe it is, found out in this practice right here. Yeah, but certainly, I mean, you're a nimble little car. They're not long. They're not especially wide. You can fit them multiple cars wide at many places. We discovered 4 wide can be relatively comfortable at Watkins Glen, at least up until they've got to all make an apex. But yeah, you don't want to be tangling wheels with your competitors. We are in practice right now with Gianni Lutsu topping those times. Quick little lap around here. Formula V's can slipstream anywhere, just like a cat can sleep anywhere, fit anywhere. But this is not Watkins Glen or Phillip Island.
Are you saying that Formula V's are fluid, like a cat?
I'm just saying they've got their own rules of physics like a cat. So for any other category of car, not a very long pit straight into a first and second corner that's difficult to overtake. For these, sure, you'll pick up a slipstream very quickly out of the final corner, and I think you'll find moves to be much more possible than in larger, higher horsepower, more dirty air kind of cars. Though I'm thinking that opening lap in towards the turn 1 kink in turn 2 is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I'm really worried about that. Remember, we've had a couple guys over the last couple of rounds as well not get great initial launches off the start either. Either they've just mistimed it. So the key factors in a Formula V start, there really is no better way to get the car off the line. It's literally sit it in neutral, jam it into the gear, release the clutch. Job done. There is you can't mess the start up. You can release the clutch maybe a little bit slow. That's about all you can do. Not quite enough horsepower to spin the rear wheels. But what you can do is to influence your start's reaction timing. That's going to be sort of what dedicates that all, and then obviously slipstreaming even at lower speeds down the first corner. It won't be a huge effect, but I'm expecting we at least go too wide. I'm expecting it's just such a nuanced form of racing with the ability for the wheels to overlap. That does not happen in most styles of racing, and nowhere near to the same degree as what you get in Formula V and Formula 4. So they're the only ones where the wheels poke that far out of the car body. So, it's for a lot of these drivers have now had 3 rounds to come to grips with it, to settle themselves in and decide whether or not they want to do more practice. And, they're still here, so I'm assuming they've done more practice. I'm assuming themselves up. And the fun fact that I'm enjoying tonight is I have not seen a single moment since we've entered the session whereby the track map has not been crawling with cars. It literally looks like your backyard as the rain is about to come down with the ants all scurrying to try and get inside. That's what the track map looks like tonight.
Let's think about our format coming up for tonight, though. We're in the practice right now, as you can see, soon to tick over into qualifying. That sets the grid for our first of 3 races, and that gets in. Then in that race number 1, the finishing results get a top 20 invert to set the grid for race number 2. Race number 2, the results of that carry over into race number 3. What it means is qualifying relatively important in our 40-ish car grid, but errors, mistakes in races, incidents can drop you back. If you get dropped out of that top 20, for example, you're going to really struggle to make your way back if you make any mistake in race 1 or 2.
Yeah, again, consistency comes to the fore. And I mean, that's where the guys that are up at the pointy end of this thing are really making the difference. Your Glenn Riddells, your John Merritts. It's been look, I've got to stay within this pack. I've still got to have pace, but at the same time, I've got to allow enough space to make sure that we both get through the next corner. So thinking about those sorts of things, reversing that top 20, it created a phenomenal race. It gave a few drivers that weren't necessarily right there in terms of pace and were looking for reasonable results last round, an opportunity to put themselves in a place that they weren't necessarily ever going to be. Of course, Reece Gardner was the big winner. And here's my favourite camera of the night too. We've got 3 drivers in our Zoom call this evening that are kindly lending us their webcams. And B, I've spent the entire pre-race show wondering where that Audi flag was going to end up. We've seen multiple iterations of where that was going to. He's gone for down the front of the shirt. All other iterations of that Audi Sport flag had it not being in that automatically cropped shot that we're looking at right there. So keep an eye on that throughout proceedings. So we're having a debate. How long do you think the Audi Sport flag will stay stuffed down the top? And most of us were expecting him to throw it out at some point. So we'll keep you updated with tonight's side piece of the action.
Yeah, no doubt. So our 3 drivers on picture. Oh, he knows. He knows. Yeah, good on you. Good on you, Matt Walker. Matt Harriet was down the bottom. Boeing 737 type certified Matt Harriet. And Dean Hunt in the top left with the G27 with the top cut off the rim, giving the full Formula V experience. Well, Orin Park, dearly missed by some. probably dearly missed by many, it must be said. No one's ever completely thrilled in the racing family when a racetrack becomes a shopping center or a housing development or a what have you. But certainly many happy memories of club racing, national racing here. Still exists on iRacing. Formula Vee E-Series Australia gonna tear it up in qualifying right now, setting the grid for the first race. Lap times just over 1:20 in these machines to cut their way around the hills.
Yeah, so minute 17. I'm assuming those are going to be expecting probably solo lap times here from qualifying. Probably in the 1 to 1.5 second range off. So we're looking anywhere from a mid 18 all the way up into the 19s. This is going to be, I think, the first race tonight, Dave, that's not raw going to be about outright draft pack racing. It's going to have the first of our different elements where we're probably going to see maybe too wide through a couple of corners, but we're probably going to see a strung outfield. It's going to be about building momentum. Now, remember, it's not very like your Formula cars. It's nothing like your Formula Ones. Yeah, sure, it's an open wheeler as we take the run with Trevor Hearn down through turn number 1 and then to Coca-Cola Corner at turn number 2. But it's a little bit different from that. There's no downforce to speak of. So at a track like this, which is probably a high downforce monster, dirty air. I mean, it's not as impactful as it's going to be anywhere else. And this is my real first taste of actually lower Formula racing in Orin Park. So, look, hats off to these guys tonight. This is one of the ones I'm actually kind of happy I'm in the commentary box. Orin Park creates chaotic racing. Formula V's just adds an extra little bit of spice to that humble pie I think a few drivers will be served tonight.
So on board with Trevor Hearn as he cuts his way around Orin Park. Great attention to detail and realism from him with the all-black bell helmet, gloves that I'm sure match what he typically races. Makes a change from many of the people you'll find on iRacing with their Senna helmets and their Red Bull liveries and no respect for turn 1. For Trevor Hearn, he's going to cross the line just now with a 1:18. Definitely still looking to build forward from that as in qualifying. Times continue to come in. Tane Venables goes to the top. That's a very good opening lap, but I still think you'll see a lot of drivers looking to push on harder in their second lap. Oh, Matt Harriott, as he goes swerving left to right, I bet so too does his motion rig, or as they call it in the industry, rolling left and right. He's got pitch and yaw and all that.
Wait, have you ever actually ventured into the worlds of aircraft simulations as well? That stuff's unreal.
I'm vaguely aware of how much money I don't have to spend on it. Yeah.
yeah. I've been playing a space simulator for a very long time by the name of Dangerous, and as soon as I started getting into iRacing and getting into more of the simulation controls, this was one of the things that I was like, man, I've got to get myself one of those full-on gyroscopic balls so I can race. Yeah, we could do some racing in it. But more importantly, I want to be flying upside down in this thing at some point. And whenever I see somebody in a motion rig like this, that's just what it harkens back to. Is
best part of flying sim rigs is that with a straight face, you can say "hotass."
Oh,
as in the commonly used phrase.
Hands on throttle and stick, and
that's
hot ass.
That's a very nice piece of equipment. How much to get a piece of that?
Is that what it stands? Oh, okay. I see what you've done there. Yeah, okay. Look what you've done to me. You've thrown me through a loop here, and we're only in qualifying, Dave. It's gonna be a long night to grab back through Oran. But have a look at the climbing and falling. So we just talked about simulation rigs and all of the breadth and glory of their multiple instances that you can get available, obviously not just within the racing community. And then you get that amazing shot of the climb up to the bridge at Orin Park. You're going to climb over a track if you're going to have a figure 8 phenomenon, except for, well, Irwindale Speedway and any of the other speedways that run the figure 8 configuration, whereby you do actually have a crossover. You've got to be able to build a bridge somewhere. So such a unique element is what the Suzuka, and that's really it in terms of the simulation world currently.
Yeah, Suzuka obviously famous for its figure 8 layout here. The bridge, pretty well known. Not many other tracks out there
I
like
think there's
that in
only
the
about
world.
4 or 5 in the world, yeah, so...
Hampton Downs, correct. Yeah, I've been there. I've never been to Orin Park or Suzuka, so why did I forget Hampton Downs? Sorry, not Hampton Downs.
Gee, now I'm lost.
That other
Yeah,
one
there
near
is a...
Queenstown. Oh my God, Highlands.
There you go.
I got fed wrong information in my ear there, and I went with it blindly, like
Well, see,
you know,
it
Ron Burgundy.
used to be a common feature in motocross tracks. Actually, I've raced a few motocross tracks, whereby up in Maclean, in northern New South Wales, it was actually the first iteration of a dirt bike track I ever raced at Maclean. It was only there for about 1 or 2 years. It actually had a rickety, old, rotted wood bridge built through a jump, and you jumped over it, and then you come back around it underneath it. That was scary because of the quality of the construction of the wood when I was 7 and first raced there. But that was very, very quickly outdated, I think, within the next year. But yeah, that's something unique. I've never raced or been under a bridge quite of that quality or breadth of construction. But yeah, there you go. Different racing experience. Whoa, look at the inability to get the weight on the front tires there. Who was that we were just watching a lap from?
Was it Philip Gardner in the corn car who went ploughing off?
He realised it was harvest time, and he was off to collect the corn from the fields. So,
oh shucks. So we've had most of the qualifying laps come through. Still a handful of drivers out there. Some using it as extended practice. Some left the lane a little late. But I don't think we're going to see much change at the top of that qualifying order. Nesbitt in the 42 looks to improve there and gets him 23rd. We do have over 40 cars, which per meter is a lot around Orin Park, and it's going to be a lot of that air-cooled smoke on the race start as well. But it would look like Taint Venables has a very good grasp on that pole position, but a lot of the names we'd expect to see are still up there, our championship competitors, like John Merritt, Lee Partridge.
Gray Oliver's as well snuck into the bottom end of the top 10. Ridley's in there in 13th. We saw obviously the issues he was having. There's a few shake-ups up and down the field. Hearn's been on and off in terms of his form, from my mind. I think he's had some good races, but I think his car positioning has been the really weak factor, or at least his awareness of his surroundings. And this is something I think you can attest to a lot more than I can, Dave. But a lot of what we do from a simulation perspective is when you go from simulation to real life to simulation for a lot of these guys, whereas I'm going in the opposite direction, I'm going from simulation to real life, is my only experiences. You're trying to grab back as many senses and understandings of the car, of the track, of the positioning as you possibly can. That is just not to make up for everything that's available in real life. And you can't make up everything. You absolutely cannot. One of the things that I really, really love about iRacing is the attention to tire heat and the build up and the sense that you get. In terms of a racing car, I've only ever had a very brief crack around somebody's backyard in a go-kart and a go on a Formula Ford. So those are my only 2 reference points. And I was really surprised the way the different understanding came to me for the Formula V after I'd had that crack in a Formula Ford. It was really, really interesting to feel the difference of the way that the car and the way that it delivered its power, what it was doing wrong. I knew that straight away as soon as I got out of the car. I was like, okay, yep, definitely driving it in too hard. Why have I been making these mistakes in the Formula V up until now? Why have I not enjoyed the car? It was because it was a completely different style of thing that I was not used to understanding. So for a lot of these drivers, it's taking those real-world experiences and finding ways to cover them off in the simulator. Motion's obviously one of those. I think one of the ones that most people really struggle with, but you see this from real-life drivers as well, is understanding the blind spots and where cars are around you. Sound plays so much more of a role in real life, particularly in dirt bikes, actually. Sound is so critical on dirt bikes. But I don't think sound for a lot of these people, unless you're a true audiophile, I'm not going to lay the blame on iRacing for this one. I think this one comes down to driver understanding of what the audio is trying to do around them and how those audio systems integrate with a bunch of things. So Yeah, that's my take on it, Dave. That's a lot of technical information if you want to stray onto a starting grid.
Let's have a look at the starting grid for race 1 of 3 in tonight's Formula Vee Australia E-Series from Orin Park. Tane Venables and Gianni Lutsu have the front row of the grid. Then Cameron Edwards and John Merritt. Brody Watts and Trevor Hearn are row 3. Behind them, we find Lee Partridge, Sean McKenzie, Joshua Burden, Ray Oliver, Jason Cutts, and Thor Tuller. 13th, we are going to find Kyle Ridley, Matthew Wall, Sam Chapman, Stephen Butcher, France Estabauer, and Matthew Walker. Big surprise here, Glenn Cito Riddle, championship leader, starting out of 19th on row 10, which he shares with Ben Breyer. So a lot of work for Riddell. Caplice, Harriet, Nesbitt, and Spinks through to row 12. Then Dean Hunt, Dylan Thomas, Alexander Newton, Brendan Nealon, Tony Baker, Drew Beecham. Grid continues. Orin Park has free content these days, so why not? Corey Horter, Andrew Gamo, Hayden Slattery, Jonathan Scarry, Gary Myers, Neville Bettridge, and it just keeps continuing. The last qualifying time belonging to Tom Davey, but we still might see the likes of Keegan Sutton Baker, Nathan Allen, Philip Gardner, Nathaniel Coburn, Mick Fisher, and Bielek, Hancock, and McDonald. Almost everyone on the grid. 10-second board out now. It is a massive grid down the start-finish straight, around the final corner at Oran Park. But it's the pole sitter, Tane Venables, who has the best position, the best view, and is going to want to get down towards turn number 1 ahead of everyone else. The smoke is in the air, the revs are up, and race 1 is underway with a really good start from second place. Lutsu is going to challenge Venables immediately across to cover the inside, 4 wide, deeper in the field, as 40-plus Formula V's rev, roar, and race into action. And at turn 1, Venables just managed to hold on and cover off Lutsu. The battle goes all the way deep through the field. What a launch from McKenzie.
Yeah, but have a look at that fighting back in the pack as the car goes around at the tail end of the field. He's going to park it up at the exit of turn 2 Coca-Cola and catch the inside curves. The biggest issue is it's standing room only. I mean, you know, this track may have been turned into a car park, but right now that's what a lot of drivers feel like they're looking for little bits and pieces. This is one of the fewest amounts of side-by-side racing we've seen. But here comes Lutsu on Venables.
Right up underneath his nose, looking backwards from the leader, dropping the Mario Kart smoke screen, James Bond style, but nothing to separate first and second. And Lutsu is sniffing around, keeping the pressure on. The rest of the field, though, how much are they going to close in down the pit straight, the longest straight on the circuit? Not a great run off the final corner for Venables, pushed up high, pushed up wide. And the track out point is that concrete wall that so many drivers have hit. So what does Lutsu opt to do? He looks like he wants to stay second as Merritt closes in and Partridge in the NPC car gets a little closer in fourth as well. Games afoot between first and second, I'd say.
I actually don't think this is games. I actually think this is the smartest doing at this point in time. What he's thinking about is we've got to break this pack up as much as possible. The start was great. We've got really, really similar pace. There was next to nothing between our pole sitter and P2 off the line. If he sits there, doesn't race him, what that means is Venables can run his best line, Lutsu can run his best line, and they can hopefully cause a mistake from the next couple of cars and break them. They're down to 4 in this lead pack, so it's working thus far.
Of course, what they're going to have to be careful of in not too long at all is some of the traffic. Let's look side by side with your leaders up top. Sean McKenzie in the middle of a pretty ferocious pack around 5th place there as well. He's a spot in the blue and yellow, but ahead of him, Cam Edwards and Brody Watts. But your leaders are going to catch traffic pretty quickly around here compared to some of those larger tracks we have been to.
Yeah, so obviously longer straights, longer flowing corners. One of the biggest things is the tightness of the corners, the lack of overlap. But Lutsu's obviously realized, hey, I've got to go for this. I've got to start positioning the car and setting it up. Maybe 4 is enough in this lead pack. Everyone else is too far back, so he's looking for track position early.
from the 4th place man, Lee Partridge. Looking forward, he had a bit of understeer into that left-hand corner as things are changing up the front, no doubt. Lutzu now with his nose in front and side by side in 5th here as well. Cam Edwards is trying to put a move on Brody Watts. He's gotten to the inside of what becomes 3, maybe 4, depending on how you count it. Consecutive right-handers as the circuit loops back over itself to the top of the hill. Still side by side through this section, which you can do, but it starts to cost you time. Look at the car length Cam Edwards has pulled before Sean McKenzie can eventually make the move to stick.
Yeah, but have a look at that huge pack of chasing cars. They're crawling all over each other. Oh, trouble!
Partridge around from the leading group. Now it's just 3, Lutzu, Venables and Merritt. We looked at him on board earlier. The car was under-rotating. That was an over-rotation as he caught the curb or the grass. It's going to cost him big time in this field of over 40 Vs.
Yeah, but have a look at this chase group now. It's, you know what this reminds me of is cycling. This is exactly, cycling tends to not go on circuits for the bigger stuff that we're talking about. Shall we call it the peloton? It looks a little bit like a peloton.
Some of the short configurations around here at Orin Park with sort of just the bridge or the go-karts or whatever, they look a little like a velodrome. Yeah. We'll see. But it is exciting racing everywhere. This is the lead. Venables back in front ahead of Lutzu. Merritt watching on from 3rd. We saw Partridge dropped out of what was a breakaway leading 4, and it has dropped him well down from the group of Edwards, McKenzie, Watts, etc. He finds himself all the way back in 25th, and going from race 1 to race 2 to top 20 here will get an invert. So 20th goes to pole. The winner goes back to 20th. Everyone from 21st on back, they get nothing. Not a great haul of points and not a great starting grid position either. He's going to want to fight back into that top 20. It's such an important dividing line in the middle of the pack. It creates a sort of a bit of a watershed between the haves and have-nots, really.
Yeah, it's something that's so critical to focus on right throughout the course of the evening as well. These drivers will be keeping an eye on it, and Lee will know that that'll be his target. He's within a couple seconds of that group back there, but have a look at 40th place and Bettridge as he just came up on the timing there. 50 seconds behind the leaders now, so he's only about 20 seconds, 25 seconds up the road for these guys. They're actually going to run into lap traffic at the tail end of this race. That could theoretically set up some drafting shenanigans in the final laps.
Oh, we love some shenanigans. Some happening up front here as Merritt tried to challenge Lutzu for 2nd. Probably realizes that if the move doesn't happen immediately, Venables might get away with that lead. And then the group behind, still very entertaining. This is 4th through to 10th, where Mackenzie's gotten up front from a handful of the teammates in here. Saw Watts and Hearn, I think, running the same livery and the same car. This is one of the places you're trying to open up these corners, carry as much speed as possible across the crests, but you can dip tyres into the grass, dip tyres into the gravel, and that might have been what saw Lee Partridge lose all of his biscuits early on. You want to get a good run off that final corner too.
Yeah, carrying speed everywhere is the goal with these things. They're momentum cars. It's all about building momentum, all about trying to make us go forwards. As we're going to see another overtake on the rundown to 1 and 2. The draft on the outside lane. So we pulled out of the draft. Went absolutely nowhere. Went backwards, in fact. Either has to get the move done here at Coca-Cola corner, or he's going to have to just settle back in. And there's still 2x2. So this just stretches the chain back out again when you see cars fighting like this. This is what you were talking about a few moments ago with Lutzu and Merritt. Lutzu is actually out of the draft to John Merritt again. So Merritt and Venables are the 2 breakaway up at the front. So something's happened in that last lap.
Yeah, looking like a 2-way fight up front now, just between Venables and Merritt. We knew Merritt and Lutzu were fighting. Maybe Lutzu just ended up a little out of place, a little offline. Let's take a look at it. It's critical for who might stand where on the podium in this opening race and set their momentum. So here it is, the battle, 2nd and 3rd. Lutzu in the number 1 car just plain runs it a bit wide in turn 1, and that tiny touch of the grass, it's worse than getting off the racing line and into the marbles.
Yeah, and just runs fractionally wide and drops look, he's faster than Merritt, but the problem is Merritt's now got the toe, so Merritt might get that job done. 9.49, so I think this turn again, continuing the racing, but look how good this is. It's now 2x2 on the run down the front straight. Check this camera out. This is from the end of the outside wall.
Yeah, they all compress down into the major braking zone of 2. The rest of the field. I love the Queensland branded beverage on the wall in one of those sectors.
Yeah, I mean, such an Aussie, such a piece of our history, and this is where we come from. Oh man, I'm thoroughly enjoying this, because this reminds me of classical V8 supercar races here, and just the difficulty in getting the pass set up and done. And I remember Crompton starting from the rear of the field because he picked up a penalty even before Greg Murphy's time. Or Greg Murphy, I think, even potentially made his rookie debut here as well. So, you know, it's just so critical to a lot of the current crop of drivers that have actually never been here or never raced here. You know, but for the guys that came before them, this was their debut. This is what it was all about, coming to Orin Park. And
John Merritt to the lead of the race here as he gets down the inside of Tane Venables in their fight. Doesn't let Lutzu get a tiny bit closer. See a little bit of the traffic there for them, and it's starting to become a fight between your first and second that could bring third into play. Almost a touch of the wheels, I do think, as they go into the right-hander. Merritt robustly defending his newfound lead, but he pushes wide, and Venables gets the nose in underneath, side by side across the bridge. Venables right back into the lead as they change twice in the opening sector. They cost themselves some time. And ding, 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 here comes Gianni Lutzu as Venables runs it so wide and across the grass.
Yeah, so now he's pushing a little bit too hard, but it's interesting to see the differences that these guys are picking up. And here they'll come through the flip-flop as well. Look at the crest of the hill there. Isn't that just one of the most exciting moments? You think Bathurst has got some moments in it. The crest of that hill right there is something else. And then up and out of the bowl and out of the last corner. And now the weaving begins. The draft breaking down the front straightaway. It's all going on, and Lutzu's back into this one, Dave.
Venables wants the inside in 1 and 2. Merritt's got a lot of speed to maybe go around the outside. Lutzu will be hoping to see an opportunity open for him, and he will get one to get into second place, potentially. A 3-way fight with 4 minutes, 4 laps to go, and it could be absolutely anyone's amongst this fight.
Yeah, and Lutzu, remember, is probably going to be driving perhaps a little bit hotter under the collar with falling out of these guys. So he's got lucky here just to be back in and amongst it. You know what? We're going for it now. With 1 minute and 17 second laps, we've got probably 2 more after this one. At the conclusion of this one, going to run real tight there. It might even be 3 laps to really go the journey on this.
Championship watch, the next segment in tonight's broadcast. Lee Partridge battling to get himself back into that top 20. Glencito Riddle in 10th, right in the middle of the pack, about 8 seconds behind this leading trio. So for those guys, they still harbour championship hopes, and Glencito Riddle absolutely should, as the points leader coming into this round. Needs to be tidy all 3 races, and that's tough to do when you're right in the middle of the pack. It's tough to do when you're battling for the lead 3 wide past the start-finish line. Venables wants the inside at every opportunity. Lutzu looking to go around the outside of Merritt. They're going to be absolutely level into the next right-hander, which I think gives advantage to Lutzu. Bit of traffic too.
I was just about to say, traffic's coming into this, but has somebody actually reached out to Gianni Lutzu and told him that Formula V's are not designed for off-road driving? Oh man, he had 2 wheels of the dirt!
Contact for all 3 of your leaders as they trip over. Not what Venables was expecting. The cars behind, very little opportunity to react, and Merritt goes through into the lead. Doesn't appear to have as much damage. Lutzu looking relatively okay as well, but for Venables, he half launched into the air. Totally unclear to him what the lapped car was going to do. And potentially unclear to the lapped car what they were going to do
It's
themselves.
difficult. It's so difficult there because it's a constantly circulating. Was it triple, quadruple right-hander? We do a complete 360 just about up and over the bridge. So holding a line's quite difficult. Venables is taking another couple tenths out of these guys. So it looks like all three of these guys have gotten away without major race impacting damage, and potentially going to tie back into this on the last lap. There'll be 2 more laps to go. We've got just enough time for 2 more laps. They will not throw the white flag this time. 2 more laps, and that is the perfect amount of time for Venables to get back into this. If these guys now get back to the big old biff and battle.
Lutzu got super deep into 2 after getting down the inside. Held on to the next corner to hold on to his lead. It's Lee Partridge, currently 20th. If he stays there, it's going to give him pole position for race 2. If he drops 1 position, no biscuits, he'll be in 21st. And he is right behind Tony Baker as well. This is what happened with our leading trio. Venables trying to carry all of his speed. Oh,
it's not really an overtaking opportunity. I mean, the difficulty is I don't know what the lead card's supposed to do, because if Venables lifts off there, everyone else just piles into him. If the lapped car peels out of the way, I mean, he's got to get right out of the tricky situation. I actually think this has set itself up near perfectly for Venables to have a go. If he can
starting
get
the final lap, so it's all on for Merritt as he looked to get around the outside of Lutzu. Couldn't do it. Crosses back underneath in turn 2. Venables has caught them. Watches on, but Merritt has gotten to the lead and will hope to defend it the whole way around the lap. Lutzu shows the nose again, wants to have a dive. Traffic right out of the way for them. Venables looking for a peak. Oh, super out-braking himself for Lutzu. Drops back into 3rd.
Yeah, that's just smart. That's setting it up for Venables, timing his run. The issue from Venables is he has to go there or he'll never get a chance to get past John Merritt in the last couple of corners. And has Merritt played his cards right? Has he been the opportune in the right place? Another car off.
My goodness, just a couple corners left, but
we
some
go.
Traffic and more contact for Lutzu and Venables. Merritt through unscathed. Who will next come through that pack? Mackenzie, Burden, etc. Not far behind. Big dramas for our leading trio. Merritt's going to steal one.
Dropping.
Burden to 2nd. Mackenzie to 3rd.
Riddell's up into 4th. Riddell, remember when we checked in with him a couple of laps ago? He was 10th. He's going to get a big bank of points here and potentially 4th place. He's 4th, 5th. This is the battle for 4th, 5th. So there's nothing between those guys. But he halved the position he was in a couple laps ago. That's a great drive from Glenn Riddell.
Well, Lutzu held on to that one, but lost out big in the final sector. His Lee Partridge heading for 18th, and just a short track, a big grid, traffic playing a little bit of havoc on our leaders in these 15-minute sprint races. We'll get to that final 3rd feature race that's 20 minutes. But race 2 is similar length to what we have just witnessed. Merritt fought for that lead, got it on the final lap, and that turned out to be where you wanted to be. Burden, Mackenzie come through to complete that podium. Reese Gardner-esque, if you will, and then Lutzu 4th, Riddell 5th from Venables, Toller, Edwards, Matthew Wall, and Sam Chapman.
Can't get over that drive from Glenn Riddell, though. He's going from 10th a couple of laps ago. How good's the recovery effort, though, from Lee Partridge in 18th? And when we were talking about him, we'll come back to him in a few moments, because Brody Watts is 11th, Harry at 12th, Butcher, Ridley, Walker, Newton, Baker, Lee Partridge in 18th, Jason Cutts and Drew Beecham's potentially going to be a pole sitter here. But I was just thinking in the back of my mind, if I'm Lee Partridge's shoes, I don't want to be 20th, because if something happens, I'd rather have a spot or 2 of a buffer. Brendan Neal on Friends Esterbauer, Alex McDonald. Liam Caprice is a long way down. That's an out-of-form drive from him. James Nesbitt, Dylan Thomas, Mick Fisher, Jordan Bialik, Andrew Gamo, Ben Breyer. And there's another 10 to go here as well, David.
Yeah, a tough break for a lot of these drivers further down as we scroll through them, but a lucky break for Beecham in 20th place, who will start race number 2 on pole position. So as we get ready to grid now for race number 2 with that inverted 20, pays to have a quick look at the grid, because Beecham on your pole, but second and third, Cuts and Partridge, championship contenders there. Not had a great race 1, but they can put it all right here. Hopefully finish inside of the top 5, and then start that feature inside of the top 5, and again, hope to carry that on. So it gives them an opportunity to get this all back on track.
I mean, well, they're all going to end up back out on track, because that's the starting grid as we roll through, because they're all out there. Grids between race 1 and race 2, there's absolutely no time. Check out the water-cooled engines. These are based on a Volkswagen engine. They are with the air cooling going in, and well, those are some rear tires that certainly had some force thrown at them. And look at Partridge straight away.
Mega launch from Lee Partridge, third position, looking to lead in towards turn 1, and he will. Massive launch off the start. Dramas, though, for Tony Baker as he gets it wrong. Spears off the circuit. The rest of the massive field piling up into turn 2. Drama expected. You had it in your diary, and a little bit of it's played out, but such a great start from Lee Partridge. Jason Cutts follows him along into second.
I was going to say, who was the other driver that got tags? That was basically at the front. Yeah, it was Beecham. So Beecham got tagged in the rear going into turn 2, and he dropped like a rock throughout the field as well. But who's cutting their way through? Riddell's already up to 10th, so he's also had a phenomenal start. But where's... Oh, chaos! Trouble doesn't even cover what that is. That is chaos.
A lot of damage on a lot of these cars.
My word, I'm just watching the timing tower shuffling. Can you see that? It's mental.
No, it's going too quick. It's a little blurred for me, but that's Matthew Wall trying to get going. Sean McKenzie alongside him. Plenty of teammates then in this section of the track for Echuca Toyota Pulse Tuning, bearing down with speed towards turn number 1.
And Partridge has broken the toe. Have a look at the move! That's aggressive. That is so aggressive. And somebody's going, oh no! Oh, trouble. Trouble for Wall. I think it was Hunt. He's collected Hunt up as a part of it as well. Everyone's having trouble in this second race. You throw reverse grids at them, some races...
The comedic timing was not great, but yeah. Car rolls across frame as another driver has problems at turn number 2. A tough braking zone, real compressing of the field to that section, and it's the onboard with Hunt.
My word! What went on with that? Could he not see 18 Hunt's got more than just a single monitor? I feel like he's at least got an ultra wide. He could have seen that out of the corner of his eyes for sure. Don't look at it, Dave. Don't look. What's the one thing that somebody's ever told you when there's an accident? Don't look at it. You'll drive straight at it.
Look anywhere but where the impact zone is. So this throws a big spanner in the works for our leaders as well, because there is going to be lap down cars, damaged cars everywhere, and Lee Partridge, Jason Cutts, they are going to catch a lot of that, and very quickly. But they do have 4 seconds to Kyle Ridley in third, and Newton, Merritt, Butcher, McKenzie to 7th. Kicking off here, though, a little closer to the middle of the pack with Nick Fisher, Dylan Thomas, Brendan Nealon, and Cam Edwards.
I feel like the lapped car that was just down there underneath the bridge, and I'm very confident it's a lap car because I was just in the pits in one of the shots that we've seen before, doing their utmost to get out of the way, but boy, I do not want to be in their shoes. They're literally just sitting there waiting for the whole track to clear. That's tough. This race 2 has been chaotic. Where's our winners from race number 1? That's what we got to... got to take a look through is because look at the chaos that's going on involved. Is this Dean Hunt? No, this is Johnny. Has he done it again? He has. So turn one's been his what would you say, a bunny if you're a cricket player, a batsman that's a bunny. He's not had a great night there.
I have no idea what you mean, but I am just gonna go with it. Yeah, it's been challenging for him, no doubt. And what did I say? For Partridge and Cut starting second and third, not a great race one. Now things are absolutely back on track for them in race number 2. It looks like the 16 of Harriet side by side with Cam Edwards. Everything is orange for Matthew Harriet. The car, the shirt, the car on the wall, the poster. Looking a little bit in his mirrors as he races in VR on the motion platform.
Oh man, I don't know how some people do this, because some people really get but then he's got the motion rig in as well. So clearly it all works for him, and it gives him a lot of sensors and feedback. But now,
look, anyone who suffers from too much motion sickness, I don't want as my pilot next time I fly. So I'm if anything, I'm reassured in the safety of our aviation industry.
Yeah, there you go. You know, it's I mean the gear that they've got in those aviation training rigs. But anyway, that's a little bit of a cyber. I actually wanted to have a little bit of a word about Dean. He's had some immensely poor luck at the moment, and he's putting up reasonably respectful performances lately. He's driven pretty consistently, pretty cleanly, but I tell you what, if I've seen somebody have horrid luck and they just happen to find themselves right where the accidents are happening lately, it's been Dean Hunt just about every series I've seen him compete in.
Okay, Harriet down the inside of 1, slows it up for 2, but the driver in front runs wide and gets sideways. And that's Brendan Nealon facing backwards.
It just continues, doesn't it? It's turn 1. Everyone's just turn 2. Everyone's really out of sequence at the moment. But what a move. Good positioning, good setup, and Harriet can continue on. And does he have Harrier fighter missiles on the side of his car? Because it looked like he threw some of them out at Nealon there. Oh my word. That's Lutzi, I think, going through as well. So it was Glenn Riddell and I didn't quite. Josh Burden was the other car that was involved in that one. It was just a lazy drift to the center of the track. It was an odd one, Dave, because Glenn was clearly trying to create space for Lutzu to come through, but at the same time, the car on the other side, I don't think premeditated that he was going to drift in the middle of the track. It's a difficult one to call that. Anyway, such as racing.
See Merritt cutting his way through here, up into 4th, made a position or 2. Alexander Newton behind, and Butcher and McKenzie just behind that.
Up and over the bridge once again, and started to turn it around and around. It's all settling in extremely nicely for these guys as well. And having a look up and down the field, we're looking for Alexander Newton, Jason Cutts. Those guys have some tremendous opportunities. Trevor Hearn had a horrid race 1, and so did Cameron Edwards. I mean, Cameron Edwards has had a torrid time of things lately as well, but he's punching points out. A bunch of those guys are right there and in contention race 2. Up and down that order. There are a bunch of them right in the top 5. Like, in terms of points right now, in a reverse top 20 situation, you've got 4 of the top 5 after the reverse grid are in the top 5. Are in the top 10 in points. That's a phenomenal effort from all involved there. I mean, Lee Partridge is putting on a clinic at the moment there.
As a wrestler used to like to say, the cream will rise to the top. Oh yeah. And I think that's what we're seeing when there's a bit of chaos, there's a bit of opportunity, and drivers who've been consistently scoring points more able to cleanly navigate their way through it and rise in these races. Keep going on here for sure as they catch Dylan Thomas.
We're just getting word something happened to Tane Venables. This is him cutting his way back through the field as well, and we're out of another car. Oh no! He is. Oh. What did we just say about Torrid Knights? It was going well until the last couple of races. Now it's gone all tits up for Tane.
Yeah, front to rear contact in these cars just
Is that
never
him?
ever ends well. No, the purple something out there stopped.
There's cars 5 laps down at the moment, Dave. Way back down the field, and Partridge and Cuts are still going for it with lap traffic now on their radar as well. So this actually plays really back into Lee Partridge's hands. He'll pick up the draft and see if he can get clear, and then lap traffic gets out of the way. So he's not able to shake Cuts, but he's definitely the faster of the 2 drivers. So really pushing on is Lee Partridge. He's gotten out to 7/10 of a second. If he's going to break that toe, it's going to be this lap, but then he cannot afford a mistake on the next lap either. And then all of a sudden that draft takes over, and Jason Cuts is right there and starting to pull time back out of him again. So flips, it flops, it sees, it soars. But John Merritt has worked his way up to P4. Newton in 5th, still with Mackenzie attached to him, and we're seeing a ton of battle packs of 2 cars up and down the field here as well. So we will have 4 minutes left to go. We're going to have approximately that time left. I think we're in the realm of 3 to 4 laps left to run here at the moment. And Cuts is continuing to close that gap down to Partridge. Gets down to 4/10 of a second. And have a look at the battle way back down the pack. Benefit of Formula V's is there's always somebody for you to try and fight. Always somebody for you to go and have a crack at. The battle for 25th and 26th continues.
Between Brendan Nealon and Matthew Walker, who you see bottom of screen. Do you know what he's missing? I feel like he's missing something. Just a little flare of colour. Maybe.
Perhaps 4 rings? 4 rings?
Yeah, how about, I think a red... what does one call it? A rhombus, even?
Yeah.
Yeah, could go well, but he's got a race on his hands, no doubt, with Nealon in front of him.
All right. So who had race 2 on their bingo card for when the flag got thrown? No one. Okay. All right. I heard a lot of race 1 to the end, but race 2 was the correct answer. So there you go.
Okay, but he's got it there in 1 and 2. So plan is working out. Carl's a little too Gripper M or Grello for the Audi flag, if I'm honest with ourselves. But not a change, but a closing up here between Partridge and Cuts. Looks like a 2-horse race for this race number 2. With 2 absolute quality drivers, and with a chance to take some more points out of the lead of Cito Riddell. Not a great number, but he's back in 14th. So certainly some, and anything can, and typically does, happen in this kind of racing.
I've just realised actually the top 5. I think Mackenzie's the only driver 5 that's actually not in points contention. There was somebody else there. Something else has happened to one of the drivers. Newton been overtaken by Mackenzie, and he's starting to drop back. So, yeah, Kyle Ridley, before when I was talking about it, I said 4 of the 5 drivers in the top 5 were in the top 10 in points. I was wrong. It was all 5. I thought Kyle Ridley was outside the 10. But there you go. Jason Cuts, the wheel work at the final corner. That was a Formula V that wanted to go dancing. Mr. David Holmes?
They always do. They always do. So plenty of wheel work needed, especially on the brakes and the transition into the corner from the braking. Definitely one of the most challenging parts of racing this car quickly, as you see fingertip stuff towards the apex. Typically a little more planted on throttle. Tough stuff for Glenn Cito Riddle.
Cuts his way through. The thing that was big note of Jason Cuts' wheel work into the turn 1, turn 2 complex was actually, we saw him counter-steering on the brakes when he was trying to pull the car up for Coca-Cola Corner as Riddell's going to set up and get this pass done on Hearn. So this is relevant for the guys keeping a note of the points battle at home. But there was a lot of counter steering. So that rear end was trying to... And they were just trying to keep the momentum up on the run into turn number 2, which is so important. But it takes just a very light amount of counter steering, and that's a pinch work from Riddell. And Hearn is not done with this battle. He is going to have this one back with Glencito Riddell. And that is going to spice things up as they continue to go 2 by 2 all the way around the bridge and finally slots it back in. He's going to have to be careful here because now here comes Tullo as well.
Have another look.
This is
at the
Jason
wheel work
Cutt.
from Jason Cutts. So on the brakes, gentle until about there where it's all smooth, and that's how you move the car into the corner. Still so fiercely contested here between Riddell, Hearn, and Thor Tulla. All of it over 14th, 15th, and 16th place. Your leaders have taken the white flag. Time expires, so it's start of the final lap then for these guys as we watch this battle, and it's a full left to right weave. But up front, could it be any closer? Well,
Absolutely, it could. All the way down into turn number 1 as well from Cutts and Partridge. All the way on the run down in there. 2 wheels in the grass from Partridge. It was mad. It was mayhem. Continue to swap places.
And as we go to live, heading towards the checkered flag, it's Partridge leading the way. Cutts takes almost a high-line speedway line to try to get more momentum on him. The checkered flag comes up about level with where the camera position is there, and Lee Partridge has the win from Jason Cutts.
That was a bag of points his night sorely needed as well.
He'll be on the podium with them, though.
Yeah.
Looks like it's Kyle Ridley and John Merritt in another Formula Vee Australia E-Series drag race to the checkered flag. And that
was
was
Chapman, yeah.
Indeed it was. Galloway Chapman.
And it's just been tight. And another battle pack. They're coming home.
Picked this lap. He finds himself now behind Hearn, behind Tulla. So Riddle, who was moving forward up into 14th, finishes this lap back in 16th.
And Hearn really put that accelerator down over those last... Wasn't confident. Not confident. He was absolutely confident in the space they could leave each other. And they left the slimmest of margins. It was the perfect amount of space. No more was given between those guys. That's perfect racecraft, and that's trust in the guy that's beside you. And Formula V racing requires trust. This was the move to get the job back down. Here comes Hearn, down the inside, sets him up, not quite there, but it forces a mistake from Riddell as he tried to get to the apex. And then for the rest of the lap, it's trying to recover from a mistake at turn 1. We've talked about the importance of hanging on to the momentum the last couple of weeks, David Haynes. Orin Park, not one of those tracks you expect it from, but you can't afford to throw it away in a Formula V.
Well, a crazy race 2 finishes up like this with Lee Partridge, Jason Cutts, and Kyle Ridley on the podium. John Merritt, Sean McKenzie, Alexander Newton, Stephen Butcher, Andrew Gamo, Sam Chapman, and Matthew Wall completing the top 10. They go in that order into the 20-minute race number 3. Casting our eyes again down the finishing results of race number 2. Pick out some of your championship contenders. Riddell only capable of 16th as he battled and was ultimately a little undone by Trevor Hearn and Thor Tulla on that final lap, showing some of the depth of the field here tonight. And again, some drivers here you might have expected to have seen higher up, Joshua Burton, Liam Caplice, etc., and it locks them into that as their starting position for the 20-minute race number 3. And from 1 lap down to 2 laps down to even more for Tane Venables, Gianni Lutzu, 2 drivers who looked so strong in race number 1, don't score good points in race number 2, start so far back. That race number 3 is not far away, but we will take a little break here on SimSpeed TV. Formula Vee Australia E-Series, brought to you by our great partners of CXC Racing, Lux, Giant Mandurah, V Race Experience, Lightech, and all managed by and race control by Southern Cross Esports. Great to have Formula Vee Australia here on iRacing for the E-Series. Great to be bringing you coverage of it on SimSpeed. When we come back, the 20-minute feature race around Orin Park.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
Orin Park is ready, the drivers are ready, we're ready. It's the final round of the night, the final race of Formula Vee Australia E-Series for round 4 at Orin Park. Well, the grid up now in the same order as they finished race number 2. That means Partridge and Jason Cutts on the front row. Means John Merritt there in 4th. And deeper down the field, we will find some drivers of note, like our championship leader, Glenn Cito Riddle, down into 16th, and Lutzer and Venables, who fought for the lead in race number 1, starting down in 37th, 38th. It is a potentially jumbled up grid, but they've got 5 extra minutes to sort it out around Oran Park.
There's 5 extra minutes enough for some of those guys. They're a long, long way back down there. Look, I mean, from Gianni and Venables' perspective, man, you throw away points concerns. You just go, let's have fun. Let's pass as many cars as we possibly can. I find these races far more interesting. Oh, somebody's creeping. Did you see that? That's a penalty at the back end of things. I think it might have been Beecham.
Well, that's the look from start-finish line all the way around to the tail of this 40-plus car field. Partridge had the pole position. He's had a good start, but it looks like Ridley round the outside of second place, not able to get the move done. It was Philip Gardner right at the back, creeping and got penalised for jumping the start. It was turn number 1. Immediately, some cars into the tyres that protect the bridge. Stephen Butcher and Sam Chapman, the rejoin.
And it's caught up Tony Baker and a few other cars, and they're still crawling back out on the track, and the cars are bent up to anything.
Ray Oliver in the gravel. in the 99 as well. So tough start to this race number 3 for those drivers. Partridge off to the perfect start. Jason Cutts capitalizing well, and Merritt is up into 3rd. He's been very strong here. Probably strongest of the Echuca Toyota drivers around Orin Park.
Yeah, there's a few cars that are actually off in Foster's dip and in through the middle of the lap as well. And the dogleg up and over the crest. Dean Hunt's rejoining. I think Nathan Coben was another one. So this is going to be the replay of everything that kicked off in turn number 1. So they just trip over each other. That is near an identical incident to the one. You can't rejoin like that, Dave. That is just too much. It's not the end of it.
There's more.
And that's a car, I think, starting from the pit lane that's just arrived on scene and found a wall of cars. Oh
no! Oh. Well, up front, Lee Partridge, 1.5 second lead. It's trending towards. That looks good for him, but here's John Merritt under pressure, having gotten through into 2nd from Jason Cutts, who remains right in contact with him. Kyle Ridley's there, Sean McKenzie's there. Matthew Wall's gained 4 positions, starting from 10th up into 6th right now. And Andrew Gamo, Alexander Newton. There is a massive train from 2nd through to 15th. And car number 90, Thortalla, battling with Ben Pereira there at the tail of this group.
Yeah, and how good is it to see, again, that snake just winding its way through. Cars covering everywhere. 17th, Ben Breyer started up to 15th, so it's a reasonable drive. Can he look forwards? He's also going to look backwards because Trevor Hearn will start climbing back up on top of him as well. And there's cars going everywhere here down into turn number 1. They're 3 wide. 3 wide again.
Car in the middle gives way. And Gamo, I think, strikes straight back. A good exit off that tight corner can actually set you up on this short run into this right-hander here, where the inside line seems to be where you want to be. It's a right-hander into a right-hander, into a slight right-hand kink over the bridge and into a right-hander. The inside line just keeps paying compounding interest.
Yeah, so defending it early in the lap is so important. But have a look at our leaders at this point in time as well. Lee Partridge has got control of the race, as he did from the last race. He's broken the toe, but Merritt's is coming at him, and Cutts is right there. Ridley, have a look at that leading group of 5, and there's another couple cars that are only just outside of their draft as well. So it's going to continue right the way through this race. I think we're going to get 20, instead of one car disappearing off in the sunset, 1 or 2. I think this time it's actually really set up for probably a 5-car battle pack right the way through.
Absolutely, they've got plenty of time to play it all out still with 16 minutes left. You see Merritt with a car rejoining from the pit lane in front of him, one of his teammates. Got to adjust my TV set to make sure it's not Williams Esports again.
How good was the move down the inside, though, from Glenn Riddell on Dylan Thomas and Esterbauer as well, Franz Esterbauer. That was bravery. Absolute bravery. Was it insanity? Well, I mean, it's not insanity if it pays off.
I think success always requires a little bit of crazy, a little bit of belief. So, Franz Esterbauer we ride on board with here. I think things have been pretty good overall in this 3rd race. Very close together inside of our leading pack. 10 seconds down to 16th place.
So, yeah, I mean, they're all just covered by next to nothing. Even down to 16th place. 16th place has got another couple of cars just off the back of him as well. So it's effectively all the way down to 18th. Then there's a bit of a gap. And then that throws from 19th back to 25th. So even though we started with 40, there's a few that have gone by the way. So we saw that multi-car crash on lap number 1 that's taken quite a few cars out of contention. But now it seems to be a breakaway front 3 at the front. And then have a look at this mess that's going on the way down into turn 1.
Thortalla had a dive in the final corner as well, and he's sort of in the middle of this. Esterbauer, Thomas, Hearn, in this group.
Kyle Ridley's got a black flag. It was actually for an incident with Tony Baker, who was actually a lapped car. So Baker was trying to get out of the way and right on the racing line. So that's what's triggered that one. But yeah, he's got a drive-through penalty to serve from Kyle Ridley, and man, it's been a tough round to be a Frog Leap Juice racing car at this point in time.
I feel like you said that at Watkins Glen as well, but it's never easy racing in Formula V. It's so close, and it is open wheelers. This is our lead, which is so close. Lee Partridge, his lead starting to evaporate as John Merritt has a great run and looks to take first place away from him. And it really looks like he will do so. They're side by side, heading towards one. Side by side, a little deeper in the pack as well. That is a good move. Great racing, great race pace by Merritt. Oh, contact.
Just barely tripping over each other as well. I think it was Glenn Riddell that went backwards. So it was one of the Pulsar Racing Echuca Toyota cars, but yeah, unfortunately, yeah, a little bit of time lost. But have a look at the battle pack. It's continued to be insanity, and this is again bravery going up through the hill. This is insane. You cannot in anything bigger than a Formula V, maybe a Formula 3. You'll get through here too wide, but that's it. You can't get through there too wide in anything bigger than that. It's just insane how close and how tiny the racing surface is. But have a look at the suspension work that's going on from Franz Esterbauer just ahead of Dylan Thomas as well. So we're actually on board with Dylan Thomas, and
Mackenzie going a little slow. Back in. Apparently got damage on that car as well as he goes side by side with his mate Matthew Harriott.
So I believe the incident between Kyle Ridley and Tony Baker has just been found.
Note for Mackenzie. Oh, who's in front of him? Someone. That's going to be it, and it is. Ghost car.
Well, he managed to get through there. Albeit through the alternative line, but he managed to make it out the other side. That's all it takes in sim racing sometimes.
Looking backwards from Mackenzie at Harriott and Esterbauer. Esterbauer around the outside. Matthew Harriott trying to put his orange nose down the inside. Here comes that pack. I mean, just look at it. That is your sort of 7th through to 18th. Again, still got great amount of your field covered by not very much time at all. And for Harriott, I bet every time he hits those curbs, his motion rig goes just a little nuts. He's got a bit of damping in it. Maybe.
Hey, have a look at his calves working overtime. Those things are really working at sim racing setup, just the way he's laid out there. Slightly different to the way that mine's laid out. I've got a little bit more of a workout on the thighs, but man. And then you have the motion rig in on top of it. It's not easy to keep the body weight balanced and positioned, and making sure that the appropriate amount of force is going through the pedals, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Keeping the brake pads in contact with those discs down in the turn number 1 at the exact right amount of pressure. It's a difficult thing, racing, and let alone sim racing as well. It's all relatively difficult.
I put it to you, I reckon his relative box is in the top left. If you look at where his eyes go, because you can get pretty good guess at it, but it's mostly forward. That Franz Esterbauer in front of him, 6th place. Esterbauer up 13 places, Harriott up 5. Glenn Riddle is up 11. He's had a great run. We checked in with that a tiny bit earlier, saying he started in 16th. Well, now he's up into 5th, past the halfway point of this race, and he's clear of the biggest part of the pack that is behind these drivers where we look right now. And then up front, Merritt trying to break the toe to Lee Partridge all the way across to the left-hand side of the pit straight. Not the typical racing line. Now that is as they dive on the brakes in towards 2. 1 looks absolutely flat out for these guys.
Yeah, just about. And it's just a little kink, maybe a little bit lift. You don't want to come all the way out of the throttle in these cars because what it does is actually unsettles the rear end of the car by coming completely on the other throttle. So you want to just keep a little bit of throttle in to keep the balance and the weight of the car underneath. Is that disappointment? Is that anger on the face there? And I think the biggest thing I'm noticing out of Harriet, there's a couple of driving technique things, and I know that Dave will know a lot more about the ones, but the ones that are very, very obvious to me at the moment is he's actually excessively using the steering wheel. So I'm wondering whether or not this is a little bit too much steering wheel input down at turn 1 mixed with maybe being fractionally offline.
Just goes wide between 1 and 2. The wheels on the dirt, car won't turn. Just goes wide and loses a big bunch of those positions. But luckily for him, not a spin, not contact. He'll carry on. 8 minutes, 7, maybe 6 laps. It'll be close, give or take. Oh, I still reckon 7. John Merritt from Lee Partridge. And they have 2 seconds to Jason Cutts and 7 to Glenn Riddell, who is flying. I think will struggle to make up that kind of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult to make up such an amount of time, such that that's really going to be caught. So, I mean, complete and utter control at that point in time. But look at this battle pack where they're just crawling over each other. 2 by 2 the whole way through this one. It is all on like Donkey Kong for P number 8 through to 11 through to, well, probably, was it 17th, I think? 8th to 17th in this battle pack.
Focused on Joshua Burden at the moment as he is sandwiched all amongst it. Bit of traffic gets out of the way for them. But a big dive from Watts. Contact with Thomas. Burden looks to capitalize on it, and he will pick up 1 position from that. Not a place you normally see an overtaking maneuver happen, and they've got to get back to single file in flip-flop across the blind crest. Tulloh looks for another dive there. He's done that before, and he's going to just not get one.
Have a look at them fan out through the different lines as everyone's just sort of... One guy makes a micro adjustment in his line through the run through the last corner. That triggers either the guy slightly in front of him, slightly behind him. Everyone make... Oh, no! Oh, no! And it's going to be Bourbon and Thomas tumbling through. And it's taken out nearly the entire pack. Is that Ray Oliver? That's Ray Oliver that's just nosed into it.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's on his...
No. They've tangled.
Oh, it's still going
down
on.
The straight.
So John Merritt's off on his own. So something's happened to Lee Partridge as well.
Yeah, certainly has. Partridge was with him for the lead. It's dropped back 6.5 seconds. We certainly had lots of racing elsewhere to look at in the middle of the field.
That's just remember what I was saying about wheels and space, personal space, and how critical it is. Was that a lap car?
Nothing he could do about that.
Yeah.
Nothing Partridge could do there.
Wrong place, wrong time, and probably... I mean, he could have been a fraction further left, but that's about it. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it, Dave, in real life? The difference between sim racing and real life is how much it hurts when you crash, really.
How much it hurts your wallet.
Oh, that too. I mean, yeah. The most that's going to happen in the sim rig is if some real quirks happen within wheel damping systems. You might break a finger, really. Or, you know, if you're overexerting yourself on the wheel, you got that force feedback turned up. The force feedback that you get through the wheels is a little bit too strong. Sometimes you can just wear yourself out a little bit, but completely on the different physical forces. So, I mean, you'll see moves on the sim that are probably a little bit more aggressive than you would see in real life, and that's why the consequences are lesser.
Newton and Oliver here in 13th and 14th position.
I think Ray Oliver was the big winner out of that accident down into turn 1.
Yeah, potentially. He's picked up 7 spots over the race so far. Alex McDonald in 16th has picked up 25, so he would have started very, very deep in the field. That's 41st if adding two-digit numbers together in my head works without exploding.
Sorry, did you say math late on a Thursday night, Dave? There'll be none of that.
Two-digit numbers,
It's
man.
Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's not even Thursday. I'm in moving mode, all right? There's no calendar in moving. Oh, word.
So a bit of space between first, second, and third. You get to fourth. Here's Glencito Riddle, championship leader on 500 points coming into this round. Race 1, okay. Race 2, challenging. Race 3 going a little bit better for him with 12 spots gained. Got Cam Edwards still in his slipstream and following him around, though.
So, Kyle Ridley actually was actually removed from the race over multiple incidents and wasn't necessarily happy with something. And at the end of the day, you've got to respect the race stewards, you've got to respect the race officials. And I think one of the biggest things was always review it after the race. Don't review it straight away. Don't get in the heat of the moment. Keeping yourself cool and calm, particularly in Formula Vee racing, I think is one of the most difficult things to do because you've got cars slicing and dicing all around you all the time. And if you lapse in judgment just slightly in a Formula V, it triggers some of the biggest accidents that you'll see just in terms of raw number of cars you can pile in. So keeping yourself cool and calm. I think Kyle will reflect on that at the end of the night, and that'll probably be his mistake. He responds quite well to criticism, actually, Kyle. So, yeah, expect that adjustment from him. And, you know, he's had a bad night. It's been a rough night at the office for Kyle.
Sean McKenzie, who had to go through pit lane to fix that damage from the earlier incident. Moving back up into 18th, multiple drivers have been through pit lane, like Dylan Thomas, Nathaniel Coburn, Nick Fisher. McKenzie in 18th is the highest running driver to have done so. There is Dean Hunt. No Audi flag, no motion rig, but what he has done is taken the handsaw to the G27 standard wheel and made an open wheeler style out of it.
Mate, modifications to the sim rig. That's all the rage in the sim racing world. You got to make it your own. You got to customize. You got to have fun with it.
My favorite is the add-on they make for the Logitech G27 to give you an 18-speed truck gearbox for all of the you truck sim nerds out there.
Oh yeah. Those are real, particularly with the long extended shift. Oh, that's the stuff right out there. But have a look. It continues to go on, and I'm still looking at the track map, and it's covered. 4th and 5th is still a battle pack. Merritt's disappeared up the road. Cuts and Partridge, we saw them slice and dice in that last race down to the last laps. It's going to happen again in this one. 8th, 9th, 10th, all sort of relatively close together. But then there's still battle packs going on up and down the field, and some of them contain lapped cars who are trying to get their positions back and have a bit of fun at the same time.
This is Breyer and Gamo, and someone's trying to get their lap back there. Oh, sees Gamo off wide and into the tyres. 3 wide across the bridge, ends in tears.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Here we go. Last lap though, at least for John Merritt. He's gonna get through there, and he's got complete and utter control of this one. 5 seconds to lead. It's gonna take a lot to dump that on the last lap of the race. And how good's the drive from Glenn Riddell up to P4 as well? And Estebauer, Franz Estebauer, I've been enjoying the drive from him. I think he's been sitting along, taking notes and watching so far tonight and learning. Really, really big improvement out of Franz over the last couple of weeks. And he's got the Southern Cross Sim Series Most Improved Driver Award. And I think that's fairly evident with his performance tonight.
Yeah, big move through the field, and it's been chaotic. It's tough to work through such a large pack, and he's done it better than others. But after 20 minutes of this feature race, John Merritt's just got a couple corners to go to try to bring home a win. A good round overall. Could put him right back into contention. It's not been dominant from his teammate Riddle. Merritt, a chance at a little bit of redemption, a chance at a big haul of points. Through the final corner he comes, and the checkered flag waits for him, and he's 5-second lead over second place. He takes the win in the final round, final race, I should say.
Yeah, and what a great drive from Jason Cutts as well. Consistency has been his major part tonight. And Lee Partridge as well. The drive from Lee Partridge has been miss it in race 1, get it race 2, get it race 3. And we've seen that right throughout the season. That makes me think in the next round in 3 weeks' time, we're going to see another drive that does the same. Chaos at the final turn for Ben Breyer.
Well, he was engaged in battle earlier and now loses out a couple positions at the line. I think Oliver, Newton, and Harriet just managed to sneak through on him at the end. Let's have a look.
Yeah, this is the last lap battle all the way down the line. Last corner.
With Matthew Wall, is it there? Is that the 150? And Wall gets down the inside, and Fabrea on the non-preferred line finds himself in unfamiliar territory, gets it in a little hot.
I can tell you,
it himself.
Post-race celebrations have kicked off, and they've kicked off with a few drivers going around and turning laps on the go-kart track. That right there is post-race celebrations taken in the exact right manner from a bunch of these guys. But John Merritt cream rises to the top of the milk, and he's the man that's, it's not in Indianapolis, so we can't kiss a yard of bricks and have a yard glass of milk.
No, but there's plenty of houses made out of bricks where this circuit once was.
Yeah, so
kiss one of them.
Jason Cutts, a good drive from him. I was really impressed with the way he kept his head, and I think that's why he's inside those top 5s. Like I said, I'm really impressed by a number of the drivers throughout the field. Hearn lacked pace tonight, but still extracted the results, and that's critical as a driver. Is when you're not having an on week, you're still got to go out there and still got to find a way to get a result out of it. And Trevor's still banked points tonight. That's critical for his championship hopes.
Let's have a proper look down this finishing order then, though. Merritt from Cutts, Partridge, Glenn Cito, Riddle. 4th position in the final race with a big move through the field. Cameron Edwards, Franz Estabauer, Trevor Hearn, Thortuller, Matthew Wall, and Matthew Walker. In 11th, we find Ray Oliver, Alexander Newton, Matthew Harriet, Ben Bryard, Joshua Burden, Alex McDonald, Sean McKenzie, Dean Hunt, Jordan Bielek, Brandon Nolan. That's to 20th place. Off the lead lap, Andrew Gamo, Mick Fisher, Dylan Thomas, Nathaniel Coburn, Hayden Slattery. 2 laps down, Drew Beecham, Damien Spinks, Gary Myers, Neville Bettridge. 3 laps down, Liam Caplice. Really, really strong driver in GTs and others, and Orin Park has not been his friend in Formula V tonight. 5 laps down, Brody Watts, 6, and an early retirement, Kyle Ridley. And then retirements, Philip Gardner, James Nesbitt, Stephen Butcher, Sam Chapman, Jason Scarry, Tom Davey, Tony Baker, Tane Venables, I think, didn't take the start, and neither did the rest here, Lutzu, Horder, and I think it's race control-ish from there on.
Yeah, but consistency. So we've obviously seen the big incidents kick off for the most recent rounds, Dave, but I don't think to that level tonight. It's taken a completely different style of racing here from Orin Park, and some drivers adapted, some went on the sink or swim path, and there was a lot of sinking that went on throughout a number of drivers here tonight. I'm really impressed with some of the drivers that came out. A lot of drivers will be going back, scratching their heads and going, well, where did the pace come from? And then you've got drivers like Trevor Hearn, who, yeah, he didn't have pace, but he made sure he was out there and he was scoring points and he was staying out of the mischief. I actually think that even though this might be Trevor Hearn's worst round of the series, but he scored points tonight on a round where he could have gone home with outside top 20 results from each of the 3 races. And that is so critical in the racing world.
Let's have a chat with some of our drivers then post-race, and I think I fancy Jason Cutts to have a word with. So he joins us now, not your perfect race 1, but on the podium race 2 and race 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty stoked with that. A couple of seconds. Really good.
Orin Park lost to the sands of time out there, but still here just delivering some pretty wacky racing on iRacing at times.
Oh, it's crazy. You know what? It's really cool that we've got the circuit on iRacing. I've raced here so many times in the real world, and honestly, it's exactly as it is in the real life. In real life on iRacing, it's just so cool to drive here.
In terms of things, what was probably the trickiest part was that we saw obviously lots of, we can't even say door-to-door racing, but wheel-to-wheel action from a Formula V perspective. And then it's going through tricky parts where drivers are also trying to get out of the way. Lap traffic tonight was an immensely difficult job from lap traffic as well. And that played its part up and down the field right throughout all three of the races. Timing, pace, and then also at the same time, a little bit of luck and managing the traffic. You had to put together everything tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, heaps of lap traffic, and then the marbles obviously build up, so you can't go too far offline. Yeah, so and it's the sort of track where you just constantly, you can't relax anywhere. You can relax a little bit on the straight, but everywhere else you're constantly either throttle control or trying to make sure the car's right on line. So yeah, it was really cool. It was a shame for Lee in that last one that he come together with the slower car, because kind of gifted me the Mark Webber result there with the second.
Righto, Chase. Well, another cracking performance there tonight, mate. That's going to keep you firmly in the top 10. Who's the sponsors that you'd like to thank that make it possible for you?
Look, obviously Jace are the family business, Formula Vee business. Yeah, it's good to see that I can sort of represent them on the podium here, and they're still on the podium in real life. But I also want to thank all the sponsors of the telecast and the series, because it's been really fun so far. So thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you for the remaining racing.
Thank you. See ya.
A couple other names dropping by, Scott, and I'll leave it to you to find someone to grab by the shirt collar.
Yeah, there's a few people to grab by the shirt collar, I think, tonight. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't go ahead and interview Partridge from both those second and third races, but he's also going to have some issues with everything that went on early in the piece. Lee joins us in the commentary box now. Lee, so walk us through, obviously, race one. Didn't necessarily work out in your way. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, facing the wrong direction, and that's... You've had to play yourself back into that top 20 reverse grid, but then it was race management from there. You set yourself up in a really, really nice spot. I mean, talk us through the night from sun up to sundown.
Yeah, it was all about quality to stay away from the carnage, manage that, and then just so happened to accidentally have a loop and end up trying to go for the reverse pole. What a shame. So he was just trying to manage that for the whole race, and there was a couple of late crashes and got up to 18th, I think. So anyway, still up the front for the second race, which was cool. I was happy with that because I knew I'd been taken out in the second race for the reverse a few times, so I was really happy to be up the front for that one because I knew it would bode well for 2 races rather than just one. So happy with that.
Yeah, and then, the format, I think it's starting to break out into race 1 is all action stations, everyone tries to figure it out. Race 2 is the canoe racing, and then race 3 is a little bit of how do we recover and how do we turn around from here. But the series itself, I think the racing itself has been fairly good. It's difficult because there's such a unique car in that open wheel style package. There's a lot of space, but at the same time there's not quite as much space as some people think if you get it mildly wrong.
Yeah, look, the car lends itself to really good racing if you're all at the same level. So the disparity in, just practice and abilities and stuff like that is probably the biggest cause, and it's emphasised at this track. But that is what it is. That's part of the deal. We all know that. So it's just a matter of trying to manage it as best as you can. You get out in the front with people like John and stuff like that, and it's really good fun. You can really, and it reminds me a lot of the real racing. It's real tactics and playing the smooth game and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, when the carnage happens, you just hope you're not in it.
In terms of the season so far, I mean, you're up there and in the top 10. Are points really a concern? I see this really as just a group of guys getting on and having a blast in a car that a lot of these guys are driving in real life. Is championship a concern from this sort of a perspective, or is it just go out there, have a blast, see what happens, and points really aren't a major concern?
Not really. Like I enjoy my sim racing like I'd get on my sim for two things. I get on my sim for a bit of fun, or I get on it to practice concentration techniques and just mental preparation and stuff like that for real race events. It actually works. I actually use it for that. And so races like this, yeah, you kind of put the practice and real world stuff out and just go for a bit of fun. But you don't like being taken out or being caught up in the drama too. So it's always try to manage having a bit of fun and try not to get too angry at all the carnage. But it's good. I'm enjoying it. It's I don't really like the reverse 20. I'll be honest, but that's just because I just like to be out the front racing with clean racing. And but if you take the mindset of hey, it is what it is, and just go a bit of fun, you still enjoy it.
Oh yeah, and I think we've seen a fair bit of that tonight. I think the biggest thing that comes out of the racing tonight is that difference of opinion. It's a discussion I've actually had quite a fair bit with quite a few series over the last sort of 2 weeks. Right around is that everyone from a racing background, from a simulator racing background, from a real life racing background, comes to simulator racing, and they bring a different mindset, a different thought of corner rights, a different thought of car placement, a different thought of how they're going to extract the space out of the car. And that's the secret sauce to having fun in a race car, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think the biggest thing is driving to what's in front of you. That's where all 90% of the problems happen. If you're racing to what's in front of you and you're not hitting cars with the front of your car, you're all going to be okay. And that's what happens. You get taken out, you get hit from behind. People just race to their pace, not to what's in front of them. And when you're bunched up, you do need to back it off a little bit, get off the throttle a bit earlier, try and concentrate on the exit. Think about how you're going to pass this guy rather than trying to drive the car fast and all of a sudden they're up in your nose and you hit them. So you're right. Different mentalities and approaches means different results. And with the whole lack of consequence in sim racing, it just gets a bit heated.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, that's something that we'll be debating on end. I think to the end of time is the difference upon things.
Yep.
But anyway, it was really I enjoyed that interview. That's a lot of insight for me to certainly go forward for the next couple of weeks, Lee. So if you'd like to thank the sponsors and who makes it possible for you.
Yeah, no problems. Yeah, thank to you guys putting all this on. It's if you guys don't put this sort of stuff on, we're just sort of dawdling around doing nothing. So it's cool to have big leagues like this, 30 plus cars. So thanks to all the guys who are organising it. I was literally madly in the shed trying to put my engine back in my real V, getting ready for round one of real life, and I literally dropped the spanners and jumped in and jumped on the sim. And I'll probably go straight back out the shed now and do 15 minutes. So it's pretty cool to be able to do this kind of thing. So thank you to all you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. It's an absolute pleasure having you in a commentary booth. And I think I'm going to message you throughout the week and ask you a few questions about the real life car, because that's you've really piqued my interest a whole bunch tonight, mate. So thank you very much for joining us here.
No problems. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
And then, Dave, I think I'll leave you for the interview with Mr. John Merritt here tonight. Mate, take it away.
Well, John Merritt is going to join us now. 2 wins, a 4th, absolutely the round winner from Orin Park, and a good time overall from you in what was a challenging race for many others, including your championship rivals.
Yeah, I think I mustn't have walked under the ladders and kicked the black cats this week, so it was a little bit better luck than last round, and it was good, but so lucky so many times too, especially in that race 2 coming from P20. So
Race 1, you come from 4th on the grid to grab the win. Race 3, you come from 4th on the grid to grab the win. Race 2, with that inverted top 20 from 20th on the grid, absolutely in the middle of the chaos, you still work your way up to 4th place. That must have been the most challenging of all 3 races.
yeah, probably the most rewarding too, David. I think I copped a little bit of damage on the way through, or probably had a touch or 2, but it was definitely chaotic. Some different driving out there tonight.
Well, it's always interesting in Formula V's, no doubt. We've been to a variety of different tracks, Phillip Island, Watkins Glen. Now we have been here at Orin Park, a little tighter, maybe a little more desperation.
Yeah, definitely, probably that. I just think also those that have had incidents, probably some of the rejoins and that sort of thing needs needs a little bit of looking at, but you're right, there's less draft, so the desperation of the braking zones sort of lifts a couple of levels at a track like Orin Park, but such a great track too, so.
It's a bridge with the figure eight, and now sadly no longer with us, if you will. What does it mean then to race it on iRacing in these cars that cut many a lap through history around Orin Park?
Oh, it's just an enjoyable track. You know, as long as it's not too high a horsepower car. Reminiscing, being my age of watching racing there, it's really enjoyable. So as all the Australian tracks are.
What would a Formula Vee Australia E-Series championship mean to you if you could get your hands on it?
Come on, don't jinx me, David.
No, this is purely speculative.
Oh, mate, it'd be fantastic. I think, by and large, a great group of guys. For the series organisers, for Cam, it's been an enjoyable summer series. So, mate, I'd be if I am fortunate enough, I'd be pretty wrapped. So pretty chuffed.
Besides, I can't jinx you. You're not the championship leader. That I think that protects you. So carry that one going forward.
I think my poor old teammate was, and he didn't have the best luck for the night, sadly.
Well, congratulations to you, John. Round winner. Great momentum behind you. Anyone you need to thank?
Just a Pulse Tuning, a Chuka Toyota for the support, and the series organisers, and obviously SimSpeed as well for the broadcast. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John. See you around.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, that's all the action from Orin Park, and with that round completed, this is what it looks like up top. John Merritt has taken a chunk out of Glenn Cito Riddle, and what was a 50-point lead is now just 2 in the teammate battle. But we know that chaos is still possible, so do not count out Alexander Newton, Jason Cutts, Lee Partridge even, as we bring Formula Vee Australia E-Series to your screens again for round 5. And that is going to be from Sandown Raceway. How much longer will we still have it? One wonders. Hopefully a few more years, and you'll see that Wednesday, 1st of March. Is that date correct?
Yeah, 3 weeks away.
There you go. Shortest month of the year always trips you up. We look forward to seeing you then on SimSpeed TV, round 5 of Formula Vee Australia E-Series. Make sure you are following us here on SimSpeed so you don't miss any of the esports racing action.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.